Hello everyone. I'm using a vector magnetometer here to conduct magnetic readings at specific locations on the Uinta Basin and in the Uinta Mountains. I'm measuring the magnetic field at specific locations of the Earth. We're attempting to figure out what's occurring below ground and what may be energizing the phenomenon in recent years. Something below ground is highly energetic. It plays into high strangeness being recorded at and around Skinwalker Ranch. Did the federal government accidentally contribute to providing additional energy for the phenomena to pull from? Could what the government put below ground accidentally be mistaken for some of the high strangeness? Now, the federal government began implementing the creation of a massive underground array below the Uinta Basin in 1962. It took considerable time to bury and connect devices underground. For over a decade, government agencies would rotate in the care, custody, and control of the technology buried below and the data being collected. These agencies included the USGS, NASA, the United States Air Force, and even the Central Intelligence Agency. This Uinta Basin site would become known to the government as the USBO. Two other sites, one being in California and the other in Arizona, were also part of the studies taking place. Operations began in 1962. One array location was SZ6, also known as LP6 on the Ute Reservation. This location is 1.3 miles from the large mesa north of Skinwalker Ranch and 2.86 miles from the command center site on Skinwalker Ranch. 500,000 kilovolt plus power lines now run directly over this LP6 site and travel across the lower section of the shallow array. Lightning storms caused continuous damage to the shallow array sites, showing traveling electricity was having an effect below ground. I'm sure that continues to this very day. The government contractors used long-period triaxial seismometers buried 80 to 200 feet below ground. The one central vertical array had 6 arrays placed down a 9,000-foot drill site shaft. This is not near the Skinwalker Ranch. This is south of the NASA site at McCoy Flats. I have 3D ground imaging of the NASA site. That array is still below ground at 3.87 meters. There were 7-element, 3-component, long-period arrays being outfitted to the drill sites. LP6, nearest to Skinwalker Ranch, can be found on page 35 of the report or page 45 of the 53-page PDF. The array parts and wiring encompassed 14.5 miles. This was the last report created from the data at the USBO. The last attachment is the unclassified report for joint venture between NASA and the CIA on sonic booms, using these arrays, including what other types of explosions or events did at the site. Sonic booms and earthquake data are also available. I posed a technical question to Dr. Bruce Cornett, who was a geologist for Robert Bigelow and the National Institute for Discovery Sciences when NIDS was conducting their investigation on Skinwalker Ranch. The question was, could the technology, including the wiring and data collection units below ground, and that are 60+ years old, cause any type of activity in the RF, EF, or EMF data collection units? His answer was yes. He stated that the government contractors most likely only closed off the top of the drill sites where the arrays were placed and dumped everything in the holes when projects ended. The contractors would not have gone to the trouble of removing what was below. My question to you now is, could these materials and technical devices have any type of effect on the data collection equipment at Skinwalker Ranch? One other question. Could an array of this size somehow collect or channel energy in a way it was not meant to do? This is important. Geotech, which were one of the government contractors involved in the creation and gathering of data from large underground arrays, stated that all parts and materials making up the massive array were removed and redistributed the parts or shipped parts out for storage when the contract ended in the late 1960s. This was a typical installation for a single underground array. This was shallow only, not the 9,000-foot depth arrays at several locations on the basin. Imagine that wiring not being properly removed from the ground by geotech, as they were contracted to do so for almost $250,000 back in 1968. What could that do to the phenomena below ground? The field cables between seismometer buried in the field and two recording devices equals 80 feet to 9,000 feet of cable. Imagine what's possible once the cable becomes exposed, the insulating rubber and other coating deteriorated. Here is the Uinta Basin Survey Observatory. This is it up close. There were portable and permanent stations, and check it out, the United States Air Force was dabbling at the site. This is what the site currently looks like. You can still get to it by turning off on the McCoy Flats Road just before entering the city of Vernal. If you want to go to the site yourself and see the NASA markers left behind, the paved road is exactly 6.11 miles long. Guess where the paved road ends? Directly in front of the old site. Take a handheld spectrum analyzer with you and use it near the NASA markers. Feel free to share those readings with us in the comments below when you return from your trip. Here's the closest shallow array location to Skinwalker Ranch and the mesa above it. It's 1.3 miles away from the mesa. The 500,000 plus kilovolt power lines go directly over the array area. Remember that those power lines were not put in until the 1980s. This is one of those power line towers. When we approached, the electric field climbed to 900 plus volts per meter. At that point, we had to turn back because I could feel numbness in my arms and my chest was burning from the energy present. And the F was still climbing. This shows objects remain in the ground, not removed. I took this 3D magnetometer image using my GER EasyWay GeoSurveyor system. There's another video of mine on this channel where you can go see all my technology I use out in the field. It goes beyond any other paranormal investigator's tech kit. Here's a pic of one of those NASA markers. For historical background, the original USGS site was destroyed when it completed the government contract and placed the land back into Bureau of Land Management control. Later, the site was taken over by NASA for use by two temporary and portable telescopes. I can tell you this was not the only reason for the NASA site's continued use into the 1980s. They weren't just looking up into the stars. But that's another story in and of itself, best served to you in a separate presentation here on my YouTube channel. Thanks for taking the time out to view this presentation. Please take a second to click on the like and subscribe to my page so that I can continue to keep you informed of what is happening around the world, mostly below ground. Take care.